Welcome to the Chaos Quotient, an original sci-fi series exploring broken realities, artificial intelligence, and anomalies outside the record. If you enjoy the story, please remember to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell. Chapter 1. Not on Record. The sky opened like someone unzipping a tent, a long vertical slit in the air that shimmered like stretched glass. Behind it, nothing, not darkness, not light, just the empty hum of possibility. Sol stepped through. The flap shut behind him with a soft ripple, and the world rushed in. He landed on coral that wasn't quite coral, too smooth, too warm. His boots adjusted as he stepped forward, gripping just enough to hold him steady. He didn't notice. He just thought they were good boots. The city around him bloomed outward and then collapsed. Buildings cracked apart like glass. A tower of spiraled shell split down the middle, streets bent into knots. A fish flew through the air, tail first, before folding inside out. A humanoid figure, tall, gilled, wearing a suit of woven kelp, screamed silently as its body flickered, pixelated, and rewound. And then everything snapped back. The tower stood tall again. The streets realigned. The fish flew smoothly forward, this time in the correct direction. The gilled figure calmly strolled along a spiral bridge as though nothing had happened. Sol his jaw. Right, one of those days. Codex's voice came through his glasses, not from beside him, not yet manifested, her mobile instance keeping pace at his shoulder as presence rather than form. Recursive anomaly detected. Collapse and repair cycle estimated at 47 seconds. Consistent across local terrain. A crab skittered across the ground, waving one claw in lazy loops. When it reached the end of the street, it paused, then vanished, only to reappear at the other end, walking the same path again. The loop had already started over. Sol stepped forward, watching the buildings breathe around him. Some of the walls shimmered with scales. Others reflected water that wasn't there. Doors opened into staircases that ended in thin air. At the edge of a market square, a woman with silver fins instead of hair haggled with a merchant. Her voice sounded normal until she spoke the same sentence twice in a row, perfectly. She laughed, blinked, turned, and said it again. Exactly the same. The people here didn't seem to notice. Sol moved carefully, passing through their loop without disturbing it. A group of with jellyfish-like heads played on floating platforms. One of them tripped and fell, and before it could hit the ground, time hiccuped, and the child was back on the platform, laughing like it never happened. Codex's voice returned. Anchor present, slope reading fluctuating. He ignored the data for now. The air tasted like salt and tin. A soft wind carried the scent of metal rain. A flicker caught his eye, something buried near a stairwell made of braided coral. He crouched and pulled out a flat shard, shaped like glass but warm like skin. A strange symbol was etched into it, a spiral looping inward, with a single line breaking before it reached the center. Codex. A pause. That object is not recognized, she said finally. Sol turned it over. It gave a faint hum like a whisper just beneath hearing. He didn't like the way the ground shifted again. Not physically, but deeper, like the rules underneath the city were changing their minds. A building to his left twisted, cracked, and fell. The woman with the silver fins screamed, hands raised, then snap. It all rewound. She was smiling again, holding a basket of sea flowers. The building stood like it had never moved. Codex remained silent. Sol put the shard in his jacket. Something clicked in his pocket. Codex had generated a small tool directly into his hand, thin, sharp, like a thick metal pen. He turned it over once. She always provided the tools he needed, not the ones he wanted. He traced the symbol on the shard with the tool. It lit up faintly, then faded. Around him, the loop reset again. The same fish flew overhead. The same crab scuttled in a perfect arc. The same tower cracked, fell, and rebuilt itself. Sol didn't loop. Whatever was breaking this place, it hadn't touched him. The loop restarted again, soft and silent this time. The same child jumped from the same platform and giggled at the same moment. A turtle rolled lazily through a puddle, then flickered back to its original spot. Sol stood still, watching the pattern repeat. Every time it reset, the details sharpened. Like the world was trying to convince him it had never broken at all. Codex remained silent. She usually offered diagnostics by now, probabilities, escape routes, but now nothing. Sol the edge of the shard in his palm, still faintly warm. The tool in his other hand buzzed once, short, soft, like a reminder. He crouched again and pressed the shard to the ground. The moment it touched the coral, a thin line of light flickered beneath it, faint, delicate, like a string being plucked under glass. He hit twice with the tool. Nothing obvious happened. But the next loop, the seventh, skipped. The fish above fluttered forward a few seconds too fast. The silver-finned woman blinked early. Sol narrowed his eyes. Codex, you reading this? Static. He turned slowly, scanning the street. All the life here, humanoid, animal, even the blinking signposts shaped like fish mouths, moved with a kind of sleepy rhythm. They didn't know, they couldn't, but the shard did. The loop snapped again, and this time it stuttered. A crab glitched halfway through its walk, then appeared upside down. A second crab spawned beside it, identical, before the loop corrected itself with a wet pop. Okay, Sol muttered. Now you're just showing off. The shard pulsed once in his jacket. Sol pulled it out. The spiral symbol still glowed softly, but now a second line had appeared near the center. Short, faint, like it was drawing a path inward. His glasses flickered. In the flicker, for less than a second, the loop's inhabitants all turned toward him simultaneously. The children on the platform, the merchant at his stall, the guild figures on the bridge. Their mouths opened in unison, and what came out was not sound but something close to it, a fragment that dissolved before it resolved. A number, or the shape of one, the way you heard your name called from a great distance and couldn't be certain you'd heard it at all. Then the glasses stabilized. Sol stood very still for a moment. Finally, Codex's voice returned. It was fainter than before, slower. Sol, there is interference. No kidding. The slope anchor is shifting with each collapse. I am struggling to keep a lock. You say that like it's my fault. The artifact is not from this loop. Sol blinked. You mean it's bleeding through? Silence, then unknown. Another reset rolled across the square. Only this time, the background colors flickered. The sky went too blue. The shadows reversed. Sol looked up and saw a seam in the sky. Not the tangent line, not yet, but something close. A pressure, like a zipper being from the inside. Whatever this place was supposed to be, it was getting worse at pretending. He slipped the shard into his jacket and pocketed the tool. The ground beneath him rippled slightly, but the boots held firm. One soul shifted without him moving, adjusting, recalibrating, reacting to something only it knew. He didn't question it. Far across the city, the same spiraled tower cracked again, the same birds scattered in perfect timing. But now one didn't come back. It veered off just slightly, then vanished. Not rewound, just gone. Codex noticed too. Sol, she said, we have a deviation. I saw it. It is not a loop element. He smiled. That makes two of us. And then the sky above him opened. Not fully, just a tear. A suggestion, enough for light to flicker through. Sol didn't step toward it yet. This wasn't his ride out, not yet. The loop wasn't done talking. From behind him, the silver-finned woman dropped her basket. Her movements were wrong this time, fast, jerky. Her mouth opened wide. Her eyes glowed bright gold. She was still part of the loop, but something else was riding inside her. The silver-finned woman stepped forward fast, clumsy, like her body had forgotten how to move. Her arms twitched in sharp bursts, and her head tilted at an unnatural angle. One foot scraped against the coral ground, metal bracelets jingling out of sync with her steps. Sol didn't move. She opened her mouth. No words came out, just a rattling noise, wet, like a throat filled with water and wires. Around her, the loop tried to continue. The merchant repeated his offer for sea flowers. The children giggled on their floating platform. A pair of birds traced the same arc across the sky, but now they seemed forced, slightly late, glitching at the edges. The woman lunged. Sol sidestepped, boots catching and spinning him backward with perfect precision. He didn't think about it. The boots decided for him. She crashed into the spot where he'd been standing, knees buckling. Her fingers scraped the coral. She snarled, but it wasn't rage. It sounded like static. The reset rolled again. Everything around her snapped back. She didn't. Sol took a step back, pulling the shard from his jacket. Its symbol glowed brighter now, the second line curving closer to the center. Codex update, he said quietly. No answer. The woman turned toward him, eyes gold and glowing. The air shimmered behind her, not a tangent line tear, but something trying to open, a false seam, like someone attempting to copy the zipper but sewing it wrong. Another loop pulsed. The fish flew. The crab walked. The woman stood still. Then she jerked forward again, faster this time. Sol ducked beneath her swing and rolled across the uneven ground. His boots clicked once as if locking into a new setting. He skidded to a stop. She followed, arms flailing, mouth wide. But now her skin was changing too quickly. Her fins pulsed black, then red, then blue. Her fingers thinned, split, sharpened. Her feet left the ground. And then she glitched. One moment she was charging. The next she flickered in 3 versions of her overlapping. Only one had a face. Sol raised the shard. It vibrated in his hand. "Codex?" he asked again. Still nothing. He the shard with the metal tool. A high-pitched tone rang out, thin and sharp. The woman stopped, just stopped. Her head turned, slowly, not robotic, wrong. And then the buildings collapsed again. Sol ducked as debris, not real, not quite, fell toward him. It passed through his shoulder like mist, reset shimmer. But the woman, she was still frozen, still watching. The city reset. And this time she reset with it, smiling. Sol stood up slowly, breathing hard. The loop was learning. He looked down at the shard. The lines had changed again, now forming a spiral with no center, a pattern with no end. Codex's voice finally returned. "Sol," she sounded tired, "you're not alone in there." "No kidding," he muttered. She continued. "Something is mimicking the reset pattern. It's not from this city. It's not from me." Sol looked at the silver-finned woman, who was now calmly buying sea flowers again. Her mouth moved in perfect rhythm with the loop, but her eyes were watching him, and behind her smile was static. Sol didn't like being watched. He especially didn't like being watched by something wearing someone else's face. The silver-finned woman turned from the sea flower stand, still smiling. She walked away like nothing had happened, same steps, same pattern, same rhythm. But every time she passed through her loop, her eyes stayed locked on him. She never blinked. Sol took a slow breath. The loop was changing. That wasn't supposed to happen. Loops repeated. That was the one thing he could usually count on. He reached into his pocket and pulled the shard again. The symbol had grown sharper. Its spiral curved in tighter than before. The broken center line was now nearly touching the middle. The shard pulsed faintly. Codex whispered, "It is adapting to you." Sol frowned. "The shard." "No, the loop." "Course it is." A group of fish-shaped lights floated overhead, blinking in rhythm. The same pattern as before, almost. Now they were a second late. And underneath it all, Sol could feel something like pressure building, the kind that only made sense in places where time was optional. He walked carefully through the market, pretending not to notice the woman. Her head turned slightly as he passed. Codex warned, "Be cautious. The anomaly is observing your behavior. If it adjusts faster than I can track." "I'm not going to fight the loop," he said. "I'm going to break it." He stepped onto a staircase that curled up into an open sky. Halfway up, he crouched and placed the shard flat against the coral step. Then he did something very stupid. He spoke. "Hey," he said to the world. "I see you." Nothing happened at first. Then the wind shifted. The loop reset early, not on its usual timer. It flicked forward like a skipped record. The tower fell before the birds finished their arc. The children vanished, replaced by shadowy outlines. The woman glitched. She stood still in the center of the market. Then she vanished. Sol stood, backing away slowly. "What did you do?" Codex asked. "I told it the truth." The coral beneath his feet cracked, not deeply, just enough to groan. The sound echoed too long. Then a ripple spread through the air, not light, not sound, just distortion. The buildings shifted again, but this time they didn't fall apart. They began to melt, like wax forgetting its shape. The sky turned gold, not glowing. Glowing would have made sense. This was flat, fake, wrong, like someone had painted over the sky with cheap paint. Sol ran. The ground buckled beneath him. His boots caught the shift, a tiny lift, a twist, a spring that shouldn't have existed. They tossed him gently forward, guiding his fall. He hit the ground rolling, came up just as a crack split the street behind him. The shard glowed. Codex snapped. "There's an anchor forming ahead. It's unstable." "How unstable?" "Maybe." "That's enough." The shimmer appeared just past the tower ruins, of light, vertical and thin, like someone had drawn a line with silver ink through reality. The tangent line. Sol ran toward it, the loop breaking entirely now. Creatures flickered in and out of form. The silver-finned woman appeared again, halfway through the wall, mouth open in a frozen scream, her limbs twisted like paper. Sol didn't look back. He reached the line, reached for the seam, and stopped. The shard in his pocket pulsed again. Harder this time. He pulled it free. The spiral had closed. The center now held a dot. Codex's voice came soft, unsure. It's something. To where? Not on record. Sol looked between the shimmering line and the pulsing shard. One path was forward. One path was new. He didn't have time to choose. The sky above him cracked, not reset, not loop broke. Something was coming through. The sky didn't reset this time. It shattered. No shimmer, no rewind, just a jagged tear stretching from horizon to horizon, as if the loop had finally given up and something else had taken over. Sol stood still, both hands full, the glowing shard in one, the metal tool in the other. Ahead of him, the tangent line rippled, vertical and thin, the safe exit, the familiar seam. And just to its right, where the city broke apart into dust and impossible colors, a second shimmer stirred, smaller, not vertical, curved like a sideways eye. Not a tear in space, but a pinhole punched from the inside out. He didn't move, not yet. From the far end of the city, he heard a voice. 100 voices. The loop's inhabitants, the children, the vendors, the fish folk, all speaking at once. Not words, not meaning, just noise, thick and layered. The kind of sound you could drown in, then silence. The silver-finned woman stepped out from a wall. She was alone, no market behind her, no loop. Her smile had vanished. Sol took a breath. Codex. Report. Static again. Then, strained. Something has taken partial control of the local slope. I cannot stabilize the exit for long. Long enough. If you move now. He glanced at the tangent line, steady, stable, known. Then back to the shard. It pulsed again. Its symbol was now fully formed, a closed spiral with a central dot, and around it new markings not readable but intentional. Like the start of a language only the shard remembered. Behind him the air twisted. A long shape, thin, spindly, like a cracked reflection of a person, reached through the broken sky. It didn't land, it searched, arms like bent antennas. A head that blinked in and out. Codex. That is not from this fold. No kidding. His boots pulsed once, shifting slightly, angling his stance toward the line. Then the shard sang. Not loud, not music, just a perfect note that wasn't part of the loop, a note from outside, a chord of something new. Sol took a step. The loop didn't stop him. It couldn't. It was gone now, torn up, and the silver-finned woman watched from the center of the square. Her face changed every second, different eyes, different skin. She was still trying to find the right version of herself. Sol reached the tangent line, felt its cool, metallic buzz hum through the air. But instead of stepping through, he turned to the other seam. The one the shard had. The pinhole shimmer had widened, not stable, not welcoming, but calling. Codex's voice crackled. This exit is not authorized. I cannot support your entry. I'm not asking for support. He held the shard forward. It lit up, brighter than before. The seam opened wider. Behind him, something fell from the sky, fast and sharp, landing where he just stood. Sol stepped sideways, boots reacting a split second faster than his knees. He looked back once more at the standard line. It shimmered, waiting, but he wasn't ready to leave on the system's terms. He turned to the new opening and jumped. He didn't fall, he didn't ride. He moved sideways, inward through. Colors collapsed, then bloomed. Smells sharpened. Sounds layered. The shard vibrated in his hand, guiding his feet across a slope that wasn't a slope, a bend, a fold, a sideways street carved into possibility. And then, stillness. Black coral ground. A sky that was the wrong kind of purple. Air that like it missed being sound. Codex's mobile instance coalesced beside him, her form solidifying from the connection she'd been maintaining through the interference, dim but present. You didn't take the line, she said. Nope. You opened a custom anchor. Looks that way. That should not be possible. He smiled, tired. We're just full of surprises today, huh? The shard in his hand had gone dark, and behind him the opening sealed itself with a sound like a held breath. Sol stood up straight. Whatever came next, it wasn't in the archive, and that was the point. Thank you for listening to the Chaos Quotient. If you want to follow Sol and Codex deeper into the fold, make sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel, and turn on notifications so you never miss a new chapter. Until next time, stay off the record.